Hello, happy Friday, and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for November 21st, 2025, 11/21/25 digitally, and it has been a week. It's the 325th day of the year, 40 days to go, and World Television Day, established by the UN General Assembly. I bet you never would have guessed that in 1996 in recognition of the impact that television has had on world conflicts, economics, and social issues, and that was in 1996. On the food calendar, today is National Stuffing Day, also known as dressing, and National Gingerbread Cookie Day, a nod to both of the big upcoming holidays. I woke up with a slightly scratchy throat this morning, so it's a good thing it's Friday. And the Thanksgiving travel rush officially begins this weekend. Today is also the day that some air traffic controllers and technicians will begin getting those $10,000 bonuses for showing up and doing their job during the government shutdown.
So here's somebody that goes and shows up every single day. Some of them showed up early because they knew there was going to be a problem. Those people should be rewarded.
That was from another very entertaining video released yesterday by the Department of Transportation. And on the White House calendar, President Trump is scheduled to meet with newly elected New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who campaigned on being the president's worst nightmare. But yet his team reached out to the White House and set up the meeting, likely to the dismay of almost every Trump hater who voted for Mamdani.
I have many disagreements with the president, and I believe that we should be relentless and pursue all avenues and all meetings that could make our city affordable for every single New Yorker.
Which essentially means he's asking for money. Aside from this afternoon's meeting and this morning's intelligence briefing, the president has no other scheduled events on the White House calendar today. And now that the vote on the Epstein files is out of the way and the president signed the bill, federal judges are back in action with rulings against the administration's detainment of illegals in Chicago and the National Guard being in D.C. Here we go again. Let's start with Greg Kelly. And this segment begins with audio of President Trump.
I have too much respect for the office, but once they do what they did to me and to you, by doing what they did, so corrupt. You know, Biden pardoned a lot of people. The only one he didn't pardon was himself. But I don't know if I do to him what he did to me. It's time to start after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people.
He's absolutely right. And I know a lot of people out there, they don't really care, or they're over it, or why doesn't he just move on? They don't know what they're talking about. The people who try to take out Trump tried to take out democracy. This is important. That whole thing he used to say, they're just, they're going after you, but I'm in the way. There's a lot to that. If they could do it to him, what could they do to the rest of us? What would they do to the rest of us, especially if some people don't wind up in jail after what they did to him? Here's a Republican guy. He's not the worst dude in the world, but I think he's totally wrong when he expresses the conventional wisdom of the Republican Party.
I can tell you politically, this is a trap for Donald Trump because he cares a lot about it and no one else does.
A trap that he set for himself?
And it's a trap because he's very passionate about settling the score with what he believes, with some merit, that people who went after him in an untoward way. And so, but the job of the president is to look after what the people are angry about and what the people care about, not what you as the president are angry about.
If they're not angry about it, I think they should be angry about it. And I actually think they are, but we're not talking about it enough. What they put him through, he should be angry and we should be angry, and we can never forget. Too often these days in MAGA world, it's just business as usual. Isn't it great that President Trump is president? Look what he had to get through to become president again. He survived that, and every day in court. Check this out. All the time they wasted of his right in the middle of the election.
Catch Greg Kelly reports at 9 p.m. Eastern. A federal judge in D.C., Judge Gia Cobb, nominated by President Biden, ordered the Trump administration to end its deployment of National Guard troops in D.C., concluding that it illegally intrudes on local officials' authority to direct law enforcement in the district. However, she did put the order on hold for 21 days to allow for an appeal. She also agreed that the president does have the authority to protect federal property, as he's been arguing, but that he can't unilaterally deploy the National Guard to help with crime control just as he sees fit, or call in National Guard troops from other states. We're going to hear more about this in a little bit from Judge Andrew Napolitano. And in Chicago, a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals issued a stay to block a lower court order calling for the release of hundreds of immigrants detained by ICE in Chicago. Bob Brooks talked about Chicago crime in general across the United States on the Brooks Breakdown.
All right, welcome back into American Agenda. Earlier this week in Chicago South Side, a pregnant mother and her 9-year-old son were sent to the hospital in serious condition after they were beaten up by a gang of students after school. Some of them were teens, some of them younger than teens. And according to local reports and those in the know of the situation, they allege the woman's son had been bullied for 2 years. This was a bullying issue on Monday as the woman walked her kids home after school. The teens then turned on the mom. The mother allegedly went to school to walk home her son and her daughter. They were being bullied, and then they were surrounded by the group, then attacked. Keep in mind, she's pregnant. This could have went really bad. And she spoke about it at a news conference this week.
I can't sleep because I wake up in the middle of the night with that vision in my head of my son calling my name to help him, and I couldn't do nothing for him. That really hurted me the most.
Since it happened, there's been all kind of outrage. The Chicago PD, Chicago Public Schools, and the mayor's office, they're all involved trying to get to the bottom of what happened. And, you know, how do you stop it? How do you stop kids from doing something heinous like this? Well, according to those who live near there, those kids who did it have been doing these kind of crimes for quite a while, actually. But this, we know, isn't the first time we've seen teens cause anarchy around the country, because that's what this was. This has been going on for years. Do a quick Google search. You'll find a bunch of examples. I'll give you some. Out in Los Angeles this summer, a mob of teens, they were ransacking gas station convenience stores, doing it all over the place. In Chicago, summer 2023, something called the Teen Takeover happened. They were looting more stores in Chicago. This was the headline: South Loop 7-Eleven looted, 40 arrested in Teen Takeover. I said it's been going on for years, all the way back in 2019 in Philadelphia. A roving crowd of teens and young adults damaged 6 patrol cars in the city, went after the cops. Like I said, it's been going on for years, so what do you do? Clearly the approach right now, whatever that is in these Democrat-led cities, is not working. The soft on crime isn't working. Soft with your kids, that's not working. Well, here's an idea. Charlemagne the God, the very famous, influential podcaster, he offered up some insight after seeing what happened in Chicago to this pregnant woman and her son. Here's what he said, and I'll tell you what, likely what most of you are thinking.
Children and teens, kids, whatever you want to call them, there's something you need to learn early that a lot of people learn late. And what you need to learn is there are consequences to every action. I look at this situation and I think to myself, man, I don't care what happens to those kids. But I know I'm lying to myself, because I do care what happens to those kids, because I understand the environment that makes those kids become those little savages, okay? I know the socioeconomic conditions that created that, not excusing their behavior at all, because I want them to be punished to the full extent of the law. What I actually want to happen, or what wanted to happen, was for some other adults to come through and intervene, okay, while it was happening, and start beating their little because if you want to act grown, you should get treated grown.
Okay, he also talked directly to parents. Here's more of that.
They needed their little heads busted, okay? They needed their young kicked. If you love your child and you don't want to have to dress your child in a fresh quarter zip for their funeral, then you better teach them some damn respect.
I think he makes a point. Also want to bring this up. More crime in Chicago. A woman was actually set on fire in their subway this week. Federal prosecutors on Wednesday charged a Chicago man with committing a terrorist attack after he allegedly doused a woman with gasoline and set her on fire aboard the Blue Line train, leaving her critically injured. A man named Lawrence Reed. He was 50 years old. He is the suspect. But nothing to see in Chicago, right? According to the mayor.
That's Bob Brooks, co-host of American Agenda, weekdays from 2 to 4 Eastern. Check it out. The next target of federal immigration enforcement operations is going to be New Orleans. Louisiana is a red state, of course, but New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell is a Democrat, and the newly elected incoming mayor, Helena Moreno, also a Democrat. The department is calling it Operation Swamp Sweep, which won't start for another week or so. So we'll be hearing a lot about that leading up to it, and then, of course, once it gets underway. And the pushback goes from the streets of U.S. cities to the U.S. military.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Well, what are those illegal orders? Of course, they don't talk about that. This morning, though, we heard from President Trump. Here's what he wrote on Truth Social. It's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country anymore. An example must be set. I'm pleased right now to bring in Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Veterans Affairs Committee, and the Finance Committee. You are also running for governor of the great state of Tennessee. Welcome, and it's good to have you. That is incredible. Your colleagues there, you've got Kelly, you've got Slotkin. Why do you think they are using a video message like this to incite what some say is really a seditious behavior with members of the military?
And one thing we know is that members of the military are there to execute their mission. They are there to carry out their orders. And what we have is a group of elected officials who, I agree with Pete Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth, on this. They have stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome. And they cannot, they're so power hungry, Bianca, and the fact that they do not control the House, the Senate, the White House, they are really so very frustrated. And I think that's because the American people have said, we don't agree with you. Your party has gone so left. You have gone so woke. You are so out of touch. And the party would tell them, oh, the economy is great, when people knew 9.1% inflation was not great. They would say, oh, our border is secure. And people could go online and watch the videos of thousands of people per day coming in the country.
That's right.
Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn on Newsline with Bianca de la Garza. Marsha Blackburn is running for governor of her state, as Bianca mentioned. The other day, I said there could be a lot of empty Republican congressional seats. Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida running for governor. South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace running for governor. Senator Blackburn in Tennessee. Senator Tommy Tuberville in Alabama. Elise Stefanik in New York. And I'm probably missing one or two more as well. And did you see California Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell announced on Jimmy Kimmel Live, of all places, that he's running to succeed California Governor Gavin Newsom? And the video that Bianca highlighted in that last segment of Democrat veterans telling the military to refuse orders was also the topic of conversation on this morning's Wake Up America with Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Is this sedition? What does all this mean? What can really come of all of this? Let's bring in our senior judicial expert, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, what do you make of this video, first of all, and then obviously the president's response to it?
Okay, not something one usually discusses at 7:15 in the morning. Sedition and treason. Okay. Treason is waging war in the United States of America or aiding their enemies in wartime. That is punishable by death. It's off the table. That's not the case here.
Okay.
Sedition is the advocacy of using force to overthrow the government. So as aggravated as the president is, and it's understandable,
right,
this is not sedition. This is actually an accurate explanation of the law. If you've been through basic training, as I was 100 years ago, you learn on day 2 or day 3, you have no obligation to obey a manifestly illegal law. And the key word is manifestly. Must be obviously illegal. A sergeant says, there's like Lieutenant Calley, there's a civilian over there, go kill her.
Right.
You don't obey that. You don't obey that law. There's a civilian in a speedboat. Go kill him. You don't obey that law. The rule is all innocuous speech is absolutely protected, and all speech is innocuous when there is time for more speech to rebut it. So one way to interpret President Trump's swift and ferocious response was he's rebutting their speech with more speech. The remedy for incendiary speech, and this is quite incendiary, is not to silence them and not to punish them, but to challenge their speech. That's what the president has done.
And what they're saying is, and what they're implying, I should say, is that what the president is ordering many members of the military to do is illegal, but they don't give specifics here. So we don't think there's really any illegal things going on.
It's unclear exactly what they're talking about.
Right.
It's unclear if they're talking about troops helping ICE in American cities or Navy using drones and missiles to kill alleged drug dealers in the Caribbean.
Right.
For the latter, the government says it has a legal opinion claiming that it's lawful. It won't share that opinion with the public. Those of us that do for a living what I do are dying to see that because it's based on public law and publicly known judicial opinion, so how can it be secret? It's almost inconceivable to me that there is a valid legal argument there because the people in the boats are not engaged in violence. If they were engaged in violence against the U.S. Navy or the Coast Guard, of course the Navy and the Coast Guard can shoot back. But when they're not engaged in violence and you believe there are drugs there, you can't stop them in international waters. They're 1,500 miles from the U.S. Right. But if they come within 12 miles of the U.S., you can stop them. So, again, this may be what these members of Congress are doing. The other interesting thing is this. We don't know where they made this. If they made it in the Capitol, the speech and debate clause of the Constitution protects them. That insulates members of Congress from any adverse legal consequences because it's in furtherance of their jobs as members of Congress.
And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, Charlotte McBride also asked the judge about that ruling in D.C.
This is a close call, in my opinion. The president has the right to call troops for 32 days. I don't know why it's 32, but that's what the statute says. It's now November. They've been there since August. So they certainly have overstayed the 32 days. You have the mayor of D.C. saying, I want them. They keep the streets safe. You have the attorney general of D.C. saying, we don't want them. They're reducing tourists. People don't like to see armed troops in the streets. Against the mayor's wishes, the attorney general of D.C. sued, and he prevailed. The judge put her opinion on hold for 21 days until it can be appealed.
Newsmax judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano on Wake Up America with co-host Charlotte McBride. In a Truth Social post, the president called the Democrats in that video traitors who should face the death penalty. Needless to say, and somewhat understandable, a lot of people are up in arms this morning over the president's comments. This is House Speaker Mike Johnson.
The words that the president chose are not the ones that I would use, okay? Obviously, I don't think that these are crimes punishable by death or any of that.
On Wall Street, the stock markets began the day in the green again after some positive comments about interest rate cuts from the New York Fed president and not Jerome, the prophet killer Powell. This after a huge reversal into the negative on the markets yesterday because of comments from the Fed. Verizon has confirmed it will begin the layoffs of 13,000 employees as it tries to shrink costs and restructure operations. Bitcoin and most other cryptocurrencies continue trading lower. Bitcoin is down another $2,000 or so, below $85,000 now, and on track for its worst monthly performance since the crypto meltdown of 2022. We all know what happened after the crypto meltdown of 2022, right? So maybe this is another buying opportunity. Who knows? No buy, sell, or hold. All right, a Massachusetts professor is making headlines today for scamming women on Christian dating websites. Real nice. Wherever you go online and on your phone, you are vulnerable. From the text scams to phishing emails to data breaches, you need to get cyber secure with Webroot's Total Protection Package. With lightning-fast antivirus to identity theft protection with dark web monitoring, secure VPN, and unlimited cloud backup, Webroot Total Protection helps defend every part of your digital life, which is like pretty much your whole life now. And with up to $1 million in fraud expense reimbursement, 24/7 U.S.-based customer service, and new tech scam detection, you're backed by the most powerful protection built for today's threats. So get cyber secure and get 60% off Webroot Total Protection only at webroot.com/Newsmax. 60% off. The biggest discount they've ever offered, but only when you go to webroot.com/Newsmax. Do not wait. Get Webroot Total Protection today at a huge discount, or check it out over the weekend if you haven't already done so. They have a lot of phenomenal reviews. Webroot.com/Newsmax. So we have the meeting at the White House, Capitol Hill reaction to the president's comments, and reaction to Democratic lawmakers' comments. There's also a lot of conversation about former Vice President Dick Cheney's funeral yesterday and what federal judge may do what today. Keep up with it all on Newsmax, N2, and at Newsmax.com. Also, make sure you have the Newsmax app on your phone so you can stay up to date anywhere, anytime. And the news continues throughout the weekend. Don't forget about Wake Up America Weekend Edition, both Saturday and Sunday, beginning at 7, Saturday and Sunday Report, Sunday Agenda, Rita Cosby, Lydia Serrani, Tom Basile, Ambassador Nancy Brinker, Michael Savage with the Savage Nation on Sunday night, documentaries, special programming, and much, much more. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for checking out the Newsmax Daily podcast. Please continue to share it with pretty much anyone. Questions, comments, complaints at radio_Marino. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a fantastic weekend, and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.